Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom, to One on One, a KC Sports Network podcast. I am your co-host, Mike DeVito, here as always with 9-year NFL veteran and KC Chiefs Super Bowl champion Jeff Allen. And we're here to bring you all things Chiefs football from a player's perspective. Finally back on track, go into Philly, get that win, get Coach Reid's 100. We're back to 2-2. We're on the up and up now. We're getting out of that hole. Lots of stuff to talk about. Looking forward to a really big game this week. But before we get into it, Jeff, our sponsor, Cookie Society Cookies, we are into October now. Remind me again, we got pumpkin spice cookies.
Yeah, pumpkin spices on the menu. We have a like a Reese's Pieces cookie.
Man.
We have a frosted oatmeal again. We have our banana pudding, which is our signature cookie. Salted caramel, cookies and cream. Man, we have a Twix cookie this month, which has a homemade shortbread on the bottom of it. Like it's getting out of control, Mike.
Oh, that's fantastic, Jeff. That sounds so good. If you want to get ready for the fall, I'm telling you, there's no better way than to get some of those cookies. I got to try the pumpkin spice ones. In fact, when we get done, I'm going to even write it down. I got to put it in order for those pumpkin spice ones.
Quick note.
I am a big pumpkin
by the time this airs, we'll be restocked. We restock every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Perfect.
I mean, we usually sell out by Sunday, so
all right.
So get it in by then, you're gonna have to wait till the next Wednesday.
Oh, that's great. Cookie Society Cookie. Make sure to check that out. And thank you, as always, to our sponsor. We're really excited about having Jeff and Cookie Society on board. So make sure to go check them out. All right, Jeff, let's get into it. We got the win, man. It felt like this Andy Reid's 100th win. It felt like it was cursed. It was like we're never going to get over this hump. But finally got it, and talk about poetic. What a great place to get it in Philly, where all this started. 100 wins with two different teams. I mean, it's just amazing to think about. And so I know you as I are incredibly happy for Coach Reid. But let's talk about the game. So tell me about the offense. We could talk. I feel like there isn't going to be too many times you and I come on here and say, man, if the offense was just playing better. But fill me in, man. What'd you see?
I think they did what they've been doing all year, except they didn't turn the ball over.
Right.
And that's the difference. I think we had one turnover. But as long as we're not turning it over 3 or 4 times, we're going to probably win every game, especially with some of the numbers that these skill guys are putting up. I mean, Tyreek almost went for 200 and 3 touchdowns. I mean, Travis wasn't too involved, but Clyde had a really great day. Right. And Patrick was being Patrick. So I think that was encouraging to see. But I think the stars of the day was the offensive line, particularly the interior of the offensive line with Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. Those guys dominated some really good interior defensive linemen with Hargrave and Fletcher Cox. And they made them look like regular human beings, which isn't a normal thing. Those are really great interior run defenders and pass rushers. So I was really happy to see them dominate that group. They didn't just do their jobs. They dominated, and it was a really good showing.
Yeah. You know what I saw from a defensive line perspective, watching Cox and those guys up front, I could tell the way Fletcher was getting off the football that he was not taking Trey lightly. I mean, He looked almost like a goal line charge every time. I mean, he was bringing everything he had. And, he always plays hard, but this was like he was really giving some effort. And so that right there says like, wow, already we're into week 4 now. Yeah. And you can tell these guys look on film and they respect Trey. They respect those young guys up front. That's hard to do as a rookie, to go out there and gain that much respect this early. But boy, I mean, you just see the push every time you see that push of the front, and they could just, if they didn't, KC could throw the ball for 500 yards. If they couldn't do that, they would have no problem run the football all over teams with that offensive line. And
they're so well balanced. I mean, they're just as effective throwing the ball as they are running the ball. Right. Which is scary. They're by far the best offense in the NFL. I know everyone's seeing Arizona. They're doing some really good things. They have an electric quarterback, Rams, all these cute offenses. But the Chiefs, they can pound the ball and they can put it in the air. And there's no offense that's even close, in my opinion. I think as far as balance, at least, I think maybe you can throw the Cowboys in there. Right. But outside of those two, it's usually, tilted one way or the other. Either you're passing the ball really well, not efficient in the running game. But they're elite in both those categories 4 weeks into the season.
Right. It's unbelievable. And then you couple that with Andy Reid and EB's sort of offensive recipe that's just so unique. And I remember going against it in practice in 9-on-7 and just being like, wow, these runs are so different than anything we normally see. And as a defender, it's terrible to try to game plan for that. And every week you're getting new, these new flavors in there, right? You get these new sort of these
wrinkles,
some kind of new wrinkles, right? And it's like you don't have enough practice time to get ready for all that stuff, and it's going to be different anyway. So you couple all of that together, the talent and all the stuff you were talking about with Andy Reid's offense, and it's just a fun thing to watch. What did you think about the pass protection? Because we know these are big, strong guys that can get on those double teams. They can get up to the next level. They're athletic enough. Talk to me about how they look in pass rush.
I think they did a really good job. I think we gave up 1 sack, and that was just it wasn't anything crazy. It was just over lunging. I think Creed got out of position, but he's a rookie. That happens from time to time. But throughout the entire day, they did a good job of keeping the integrity of their pocket, letting Pat step up. The tackles did a good job of getting guys up the field and running them by. Wasn't too much pressure. I think I can count on 2 fingers where I saw where Pat really had to get out of there because of the offensive line. So, I mean, they're really doing a good job. And I mean, I know that this is early, but they are as advertised. Yeah. Everyone, the hype was around them with all the pieces they put, all the new pieces that he put on the offensive line, the big names. And that necessarily doesn't always work, but it's been really great so far.
You know what I noticed too, that I know we looked at it some in the preseason. We saw some of those stunts up front coming through and guys getting loose with some of the movement and different things going on up front. And we were talking about at the beginning of the season, how important it is for an offensive line to gel.
Yeah.
Right. And this comes with time and everybody being together and getting on the same page, because that's when you see all the movements and stunts and stuff come through, is when you have an offensive line that might be good, one-on-one, but then you start mixing stuff up and they don't communicate well. I almost tweeted something out and I should have, but what I'm seeing is they're really fluid, like as a unit. They're picking things up well as a unit. And that tells me, wow, already in week 4, with 2 rookies in key starting positions, and basically the tackle's a rookie too. I mean, he's a rookie, he's a
first-year starter, first-year playing in the NFL. And
right.
I expected, just like anybody that knows football, I expected for the guys to start out slow with it being a new group. Yeah. Not saying that they individually aren't talented. Each guy in his own right is a great player, right? But it takes time to come together as an offensive line unit.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it took us probably like almost 2 years before we were comfortable enough to, not have to call out calls to the, to one another. And it looks like they're on that page already 4 games in, which is absolutely bonkers. I mean, just to see the I guess how fluid they are, how they're coming together, they're coming off the ball at the same time. They're passing off stunts. They're being physical while they're doing it. And they look like they're having a damn good time. So I wish I was out there with them like that. It looks really fun to be a part of a unit like this.
Yeah. And it's funny because I watch them and say, boy, I'm glad I'm on the couch, because I would not want to be going against those guys. That gives me anxiety watching how bad they're killing these other guys. And like you said, that was Fletcher Cox and those guys. That's not a light group. I mean, that's not a group that is easy to push around, and they were moving that line of scrimmage. So shout out to those guys. I totally agree with you. They were the stars of the day. You talk about all the passes and Hill with all the stuff that he's doing, and none of that stuff happens. And we saw it last year, in some key spots when you don't have an offensive line that can get after it. And so congrats to those guys. They're doing a great job. And as a Chiefs fan, man, when you look at all these pieces that are in place on offense, and now we'll talk about this later on, but Josh Gordon coming onto the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's almost unfair.
So we talked about the offense and talked about the stars of the offense, which were the offensive line. What do you think about the defense this week?
Yeah, I thought they did obviously they did a better job. They did a better job. It's really hard to judge at points. I'm just so conflicted with what to say. Here are the positives. I saw guys attacking the football. They caused turnovers. We talked about the importance of turnovers going into last week. Spags talked about it in the in his press conference last week. Turnovers for Kansas City. I mean, for any team to win the turnover battle is huge.
Yeah.
But for Kansas City to get the ball back in Patrick Mahomes and that offense's hands one or two more times, that's usually one or two more touchdowns.
Yep.
A touchdown and a field goal at worst. So turnovers for this defense, if they want to make up for some of the weaknesses that they have and some of the things that they're working on right now, creating turnovers is huge. And here's one point that I saw it that I remember Chiefs fans getting mad, and then rightfully so. This was down on the Eagles were going in, and I believe they ran the football around the outside to the left, and Sorensen was there. And he went to try to make the tackle. I can't remember if it was a short pass or if it was a run, whatever it was. They were coming around the edge, and Sorensen went to make the tackle, and he missed the tackle, and they ran in. But they ended up calling it back, I believe, because of a penalty. So it didn't end up counting. But the one thing I noticed was one of the reasons it looked like that Sorensen missed the tackle was that he was really trying to attack the football. Yeah. And I saw this in another, now you got to secure the tackle first. I mean, any coach is going to tell you that when you it's good to go after the football, but you got to make sure the guy doesn't, goes down. That's priority number one. But I could tell he was trying to get that ball. And I saw it in other spots too. Guys pursue not only, those big defensive linemen pursuing the football, but trying to attack the football when they made, point of contact. That's incredibly important. So, I think I bring that up to say, I bet you they were working on that. It looks like there was a difference between the weeks before and this week as far as the attention to creating turnovers, and it did help. It did help, and so I think moving forward, that can be a real point of emphasis for this defense to again cover up some of those weaknesses. Is create turnovers. I mean, we did create one. We just missed it. Didn't we get one though? Didn't we get a turnover?
Yeah. Did we? I know. I remember we got one that was a fumble that was clearly a fumble that we didn't challenge.
Oh, we did get that one. Yeah, but we didn't end up getting it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there was one. I remember Hughes got an interception, but he actually hit the ground, so that got called back.
Well, either way, that's sort of the trajectory they need to go, and they need to create turnovers, whether it's interceptions, fumbles. I mean, that's going to be important.
They're going to get them. I do think they did a better job.
Yeah,
still a ways to go for sure, but as long as they do enough and the offense doesn't turn the ball over, we always have a chance to win it. A really good chance, not just a chance. So they'll get better. It's a long year. They'll continue to get better. They did get better from the previous week. So that's all that we can ask them to get better each and every week.
Yeah.
Fix small things. And at the end of the year, we'll hopefully like the finished product.
That's right. Because you got to see that progress every week. One last thing before we move on. They made some key third down stops. They made some big stops in big situations. They didn't make all the stops that they needed to make. But the 2 or 3 that they did make, where they were able to get off the field and get the ball back to the offense, that's what you need that too, especially late in the game, right? You needed to get the ball back. You needed to get 3 and outs. You needed to get, 4th down stops, 3rd down stops, getting off the field. They were able to get that done, not consistently, but enough where teams weren't just going down and scoring.
Definitely. And they did in the red zone a couple of times.
Yeah.
Where Philly had to settle for 3. So. I mean, that helps a ton. 3 is better than giving up 6. So
3 against Kansas City might as well be nothing.
Yeah,
you can't win kicking field goals. You have. No. That's why teams go for it so many times on 4th down, because you can't win with field goals. I mean, I don't worry about a field goal at all.
That's a win for me in my book.
Yeah, totally. Totally. That's a 3rd down. Back to the offense, we're off the field. Like, who cares? They got 3. Our offense is going to go put 7, quick. So improvement on the defensive side of the football. They're going to have obviously tougher challenges this week, especially moving forward. But it's good to see progress, and they did just what they needed to do to win that game. And so, good. That's good progress there. Before we move on to our next topic, let me go ahead and read our sponsor, Tickets for Less. If you're looking to score an unbeatable deal on Chiefs tickets, my friends at Tickets for Less have you covered. Locally owned for more than 17 years, ticketsforless.com has the best selection of Chiefs tickets for every game, all without the outrageous taxes or per-ticket fees that you find on other sites. Plus, you can use our exclusive KCSN promo code for Tickets for Less to save even more. Use code KCSN21 at checkout to save big on any Chiefs tickets order at ticketsforless.com. That's KCSN21 when you check out. Check them out, ticketsforless.com. So let's talk about Andy Reid, because I know he really means so much to both of us to get 100 wins with KC and 100 wins with two different teams now. It makes me, so happy for him. And I watched this this sort of highlight thing that they put on Twitter, Kansas City put on Twitter, that just did a screenshot from every one of it.
Yeah, I was in that first clip. If you freeze it, that very first clip, I can see a young Jeff's face. Inside of it. And I was like, man, look at me. I don't have any gray hairs. That was awesome to see. But just shows you the test of time. This guy's like fine wine. He gets better with time. He continues to win football games. But not only that, guys just love him and they're having fun. They're 2-2 right now. But you can't tell with the way these guys are playing. They're never, I guess, bothered. They're always ready to go. Right.
It was really interesting. I got to look at, when I'm looking at that film, I remember I remember that first game in Jacksonville.
Yep.
We won that game, that first win, and to think, wow, it's already been 100. He's got 100 wins.
It's crazy.
It's just incredible. And every year, it's just the success that Kansas City's had. And you know better than anybody where the organization was at before he got there.
Yeah.
So just incredible to him. So one thing I want to do, we're going to start this week. We're going to do our top 3 segment. So this will be the first one this week. We'll do a different top 3 every week. We'll have a different theme, a different topic. This top 3 is our favorite Andy Reid moments. So Jeff, why don't you start us off, man? Give me one of your favorite Andy Reid moments.
I'm going to start it off. First game in Jacksonville. That was the very first time where we had that, that team meeting all together. And, we're wrapping it up this night before the game.
Yeah. And
we're getting ready to go to bed. But right before you go to bed, you have a snack. And he says, I got a cheeseburger for you. At the end of the schedule, he gives us our itinerary for the next day. He said, before that, I have a cheeseburger for you. And I remember thinking, this is my type of guy right here.
That's right.
This is a special moment right here. Not only is he prepping us for the game, but he has a cheeseburger for us. This is great.
He speaks to the big guys, man. It was just so nice. I think the same thing when I think about him. I think about this man loves his linemen. Yeah. Right, because you bringing up a cheeseburger, you're talking to your big guys, because that's what we're thinking about after that.
Some of my favorite Andy Reid moments have nothing to do with football. They're food related, so we connect in that way. So that's pretty awesome.
I remember one game we got in off the plane, and the ops people were all running all over the place. And I remember grabbing one and saying, "What's going on? What's wrong?" And they were saying, "The food that we're supposed to have in Andy Reid's room, we weren't able to get it." And so now, he's going to be so mad, but we got to get this food. He needs the ice cream.
The ice cream, the Dippin' Dots. Get it done, man.
They said they weren't able to put it in there. They were it was like they had left the equipment back home. They were panicked running all over the place. And I was thinking, I feel bad for you guys, but I'm so happy that's our coach. So he's gonna get upset about something, it's that he doesn't have the right food in his room right before the game.
Yeah.
But a favorite moment of mine, and it really just sort of again speaks to how respected Andy Reid is, was when I first signed with Kansas City that April of 2013. I think it was April of 2013, and for free agency. And I just spent 6 years with the Jets, and I got this play with a lot of really cool people, right? So Rex Ryan is our coach. Darrelle Revis is on the team. I've talked about Brett Favre was on the team. We had Alan Faneca. We had all these stars, Braylon Edwards, Antonio Holmes.
The Brickashaw Ferguson.
Great. Brickashaw Ferguson. Yeah, we had awesome Brick. I love the Brickashaw. But Jeff, being in the league for so long, especially as you get older, you're not really starstruck of other guys or other coaches, or even if they're super, all stars. There's very few guys that you're like, wow. And I remember getting signed by Kansas City and coming over in April to sign my contract and to meet Coach Reid. And I remember sitting down in the office, in Coach Reid's office, and he comes in and sits down, and I'm like, wow. I'm really sitting here with Andy Reid. Like this, it was one of those moments where I was just totally struck that was who I was in the room with. And I think the only other time, obviously as a rookie, when you come in, you have those moments. But after your rookie year, the only other time I felt that was when Brett Favre came into the locker room when I was with the Jets. That was the only other time I could say I was totally blown away that I was in. Wow, I'm like, wow, I'm in this man's presence. And it was Brett Favre and then Andy Reid in 2013, and just was like, I was afraid to even talk, and here I am, 7th year in the NFL, been through, a bunch of stuff, and signing this contract to come out to KC. Should have had all the swagger and confidence in the world. And he comes in, and I'm just like, I just was like, wow, I can't believe I'm sitting next to and talking with Andy Reid. And so he was a legend then, and now, here we are a decade later, and he's, like you said, just continuing to age well like fine wine. So
still is same exact person. I think the greatest attribute about him is he's the same guy every day. He's the same guy. I had a similar moment with him. It was pre-draft, and I had a visit to Philadelphia, and he was the head coach there during the time. And I can remember, and I was starstruck by Michael Vick. I got to eat lunch with him, and then I met Jason Peters, who's one of the guys I looked up to while I was in college.
Yeah. And
then I got to go in the office and have a conversation with Coach Reid for about 10 minutes. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, this guy's truly a legend. Yeah. And, thinking back on that moment, he was that same guy then as he is now. Just a genuine guy that wants to see everyone succeed. I didn't get drafted by Philly, but he had nothing but positive things for me. And, that kind of encouraged me as a young guy.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, there's so many good stories. And so many things. I mean, we could have episodes just on Andy Reid. Maybe I'll give one last story, and that was, we're going to keep returning to this, but that was another thing that is really such an impactful moment for me was we were 1-5 in the 2015 season, and we've talked about that team meeting. But one thing I didn't mention was on the plane ride back from Minnesota, we had just lost to the Vikings. We had just gone 1-5. And Andy Reid, halfway through the plane ride, he comes through and he says hi to every guy, every player on the plane as we're heading home. And that's always a really tough time, especially, after a loss like that, especially after a 1-5 loss when you're wondering what the season's going to be about. And, I see him come through and he's still got that smile on his face and he's checking in with everybody and he's patting guys. And he walks by me, he gives you a pat on the back, says, how you doing? Good. He's like, we're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. And it wasn't like this superficial sort of, these are just the right words to say right now, or this is what I have to say. It was such a subtle thing, but it was very much like, oh yeah, no, I believe you. Like, I believe you. I know you believe what you're saying, and I believe you. Like, I know we're going to get it right.
It's true.
And then we talked about the story about how it went from there. But that was one moment where I still remember so vividly sitting on that plane and just being heartbroken about everything. And him coming by, tap me on the back and say, hey, we got it. We're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. He just a guy from the beginning that you buy in and trust. And when he says something, you're like, yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it. If he has a rule or he has something he wants done or he wants practice fixed, or he's not a guy it's very rare that you're going to say, I don't think he knows what's going on right now. Yeah. Or I don't really believe what he's saying right now. You're never going to say that about Andy Reid, which is not the case with many other people in the NFL, especially coaches. So that was really a special moment. And I would imagine from this time, from that time forward, he's had a number of times like that, which again, just speaks to how all the different ingredients that make this team great, right? The recipe that is the Kansas City Chiefs. One of them is just the leadership of Andy Reid. That's a big part of it. You can have all the all-stars in the world, and we've talked about it. I can't tell you how many times Dallas has had, 22 Pro Bowlers and they've gone, 8-8. You need to have a philosophy. You need to have leadership. And it has to come from the top. And just with Andy Reid in place, man, there's, Kansas City will never have to worry about that element of it.
Never. Culture is unmatched. Everyone has jobs to do. It is a job for us. It is our livelihood. And with jobs, sometimes you don't want to do it.
Right.
Some people have days they wake up and, don't want to go to work. But I can truly say that while Coach Reid was there, at least, that damn near every single day I wanted to go to work.
That's right.
And that's something that, it's hard to do in the NFL.
So now we're finally on the up and up. Now we have a big test this week.
Yeah.
Right? Buffalo's been looking really good. Allen's looking great at quarterback. They have a stingy defense. A lot, now you look at their schedule, they haven't played the teams really that Kansas City's played.
Yeah.
But this is obviously a much better team than Philly coming into Kansas City Sunday night. And so any sort of thoughts or off the head? I know we're not breaking down the game, but how do you see Buffalo so far this year?
The way I talked about the Kansas City Chiefs offense earlier, about them being by far the best offense, I think, and with the balance at least, I think you can say kind of the same about Buffalo.
Yeah.
A quarter way through the season about their team. I mean, they have a great offense, have a great defense, and they play well on special teams. They're playing some really good football. Granted, they haven't really played anyone yet. This is the biggest matchup of the year for them.
Yeah.
I guess historically, talking about the last 2 years with Buffalo, they've been a good football team. So I'm not expecting for them, to come out and lay an egg. They're going to come out and play well. But I think no one beats the Chiefs but the Chiefs. As long as we do what we're supposed to do, it should be a win. This roster is actually better now than it was last year when they beat them in the playoffs. So as long as the Chiefs do what they're supposed to, it should be a win. But that's why you play the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at who Buffalo's played so far. They lost to the Steelers in the opening game.
Yeah.
But then they beat the Dolphins 35-0. They
Texans.
beat Washington. Yeah, they beat
Washington.
Texans.
It hasn't like those 3 weeks. I guess but it's tough to shut an NFL team out. And
twice.
They've done it twice, and they're scoring a ton of points.
Yeah.
I don't care who the opponent is. They're beating who they're supposed to beat, but they're beating them down.
Right.
Which is impressive. So they're dominating right now. But it should be a totally different story coming into Arrowhead Sunday night versus the Kansas City Chiefs. They're probably going to wear all red. The crowd's going to be pumped up. Like it's going to be a different type of environment. I expect a good game.
Oh, there's nothing to match that. Yeah, you're going into Arrowhead Sunday night. Oh my goodness, that's going to be a lot of fun. I wish I could be there for that one. I mean, this is just that's an incredible opportunity for this team to get out and beat a good team and continue to head on that up and up trajectory that we were talking about. But yeah, I mean, they're to shut out two teams, right? Two teams this year, to hold them to 0 points.
Yeah.
I don't care what team it is. That, I've played some really bad teams that we haven't held to 0 points. So to do that twice, Kansas City going to have to, they'll have a good game plan. They'll have, and we have Josh Gordon now in the lineup. So something we talked about last week was how teams sort of have not figured out, obviously haven't figured out, but there are ways to slow things down a little bit when you just have to worry about Kelce Hill. Not just have to worry about them, but when you can really focus on them, and there isn't this third target that's in that sort of talent level as they are, you can slow Kansas City down a little bit. Now Josh Gordon gets elevated to the 53-man roster. Now you have a guy who has the potential to do that, and you see what he was able to do last year on a short amount of time. I mean, he's a really good football player. Yeah. And so you put him in there. There's only so many guys you can double team. There's only so much scheme that you can do, and so it's going to be interesting to see what, from an offensive perspective, how do you see Andy Reid integrating him into the program? I mean, is this going to be like? Will he be afraid to highlight him and get him out there and get him?
No, he's going to play this week.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to play many snaps. He might play 30 snaps or so. They're going to be specific packages within the game plan for Josh Gordon. They're probably going to be called Josh Gordon package or something like that.
That's right. Yeah.
But he's going to get this guy the ball. He knows what he can do. He's seen him in practice. He's seen enough. And I know they're excited in that building. So I fully expect Josh to not only play, but make some plays in this short stint this upcoming week. And then as the season progresses, his role will increase as he learns the playbook, because there's a lot to learn within Andy Reid's offense. They're not going to throw too much at him. They're going to hey, you learn these, 5 to 7 plays.
Right.
Learn them well, know these 3 packages, and that's all we're going to throw at you this week. But later in the year, he's going to be a full part of the offense. But I'm excited to see, what they have for him. He's definitely going to get the ball a few times.
Yeah, you could be Albert Einstein. You can't go in there in a week and learn. You can't get that whole offense down. That just ain't happening. I used to look at that book that you guys, and our book was, our defensive game plan under Sutton, which that Rex Ryan defense was pretty substantial. But I would look at your guys' book and be like, wow, how'd you even find 3-ring binders that big? It was like, come on. Oh man. Well, yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. I love it that it's in Kansas City. I can't wait to see that atmosphere on Arrowhead.
Before we go, though, we're a quarter way through the season, and so we got to talk about the AFC West.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the AFC West and where we are right now. I think a lot of people were overreacting, after the two consecutive losses.
Yeah.
But we're 2-2. Appreciate the Chargers for taking the Raiders down. We're right back in it.
Right.
Broncos lost this weekend. So it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a photo finish. I think the Chargers aren't going anywhere. I think the Raiders are still a good football team, even though they lost. So we just got to continue to win football games.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody talking about the Broncos. The Broncos played the Giants.
I'm not worried. I didn't mention them. I'm not worried about the Broncos.
Oh my goodness. I mean, the Giants, the Jaguars, and the Jets were their first 3 games of the season. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Alabama would have been 3-0 with that. So, yeah, I'm not worried about Denver. You know what's so frustrating for my time there? I had to go 6 years with Tom Brady, Wes Welker, Tom Brady's always in his prime. But I'm in the AFC East with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. And then I come out to Kansas City and friggin' Peyton Manning. And I gotta – it's like, what? Why can't I get like? I want to be on the team with Mahomes, man. Like, why want to be on the?
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm so glad I got to experience that.
Oh,
because I was on the wrong end of the stick a lot of times with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning.
Yeah, yeah. When you're in those leagues, it's like, it's like, hey, we got to get the wild card. Like we got to get the wild card.
I mean, with the Patriots they win the East like what, 18 straight years or something like that.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
Who won it? Buffalo won it last year, right? That was the first
Buffalo.
time in forever.
Yeah.
They should win it again this year, too. I'm with you. I think, the Raiders are a good team. The Chargers are a really good team. They're going to be the sort of – it's going to be us and them, towards the end of the season. The Raiders just – it's hard. I know they have a good roster. I know they have a good team, but it just seems like every year, they just like – you're good now, but you can't pull this off the whole time.
Yeah.
Like you're going to collapse. You're the Raiders. Like you always collapse,
Yeah, I think ultimately it's going to come down to Derek Carr. He's been playing really good football lately.
Yeah.
They got dominated across all fronts yesterday. So that wasn't on him. Like he did throw a pick at the end of the game where they were trying to come back and they had momentum, but they just got dominated up front. And I think they'll look at that film and they'll get better from it. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's the Chiefs division. I know everyone's talking about, the Chargers and the Raiders are emerging.
Right. You
got to go look at the team that's been to the Super Bowl consecutive years. They've hosted the AFC Championship 3 years in a row. Right. My money's on them. So
yeah, the team that knows how to get it done in those really important situations, right? All these other teams.
Yeah, they're new. It's like the argument with when everyone talks about, Travis Kelce not being the best tight end in the NFL, and then there's always a new tight end that they say is the best. It was Gronk, it was Kittle. Now they're talking about Waller, but the common denominator in all those conversations is it's Kelce versus someone else.
Right.
And it's the same with the AFC West. It's always, it's Chargers year, or the Raiders are up and coming. Well, goddamn it, it's the Chiefs. They win every year. They do it every year. They put up the numbers every year. So it's just, I guess it's the same reason I hated New England. Everybody wants someone else to win. So
yeah. Well, that's exactly right. It's finally good to be on that side of the.
Yeah, it feels good to be on this side. So.
Yeah. No, that playoff experience, that experience winning, beating games. Like we talk about all the talent and all that other stuff, but when you've been there and done that, and there's no stage that's too high, right? There's no stage that's too big. That's another. Again, it's just another one of those ingredients that makes this team so great. Is they have a ton of playoff experience. They have a ton of experience in December winning big games. And so, Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't get too worried about the first, especially the first quarter.
First quarter of the season. We got 3 more to go. I think they'll finish strong.
You reminded me, though, I think today is Kelsey's birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Travis.
Happy birthday, Travis. Greatest tight end in NFL history.
What do you give a guy that has the world? Cookies.
Cookies, there you go. What kind are you going to send him? Did you just surprise him with something?
I'm going to surprise him with some really good stuff, man. I might throw some swag on it, put some gold, put something in there. You know how Travis is.
Oh, that's great. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, thank you again for tuning in to One-on-One. We'll be back next week recapping the Buffalo game and getting ready, talking all things Chiefs football from a player's perspective. Go Chiefs. Thank you, Chiefs Kingdom. We appreciate you.
Go Chiefs. Beat the Bills.